Let's jump right into a pretty surprising idea. For so long, the message about helping the environment has been all about sacrifice, right? Doing with less. But what if the key to saving the planet isn't about selflessness at all? What if it's actually about tapping into our own self-interest?
So this whole explainer is based on a really fascinating study from 2017, published in the journal Frontiers in Psychology. And what's so cool about it is that it really makes you rethink some of the most basic assumptions we have about what gets people to go green.
You know, for decades, this whole conversation has been set up like a big showdown, a real dilemma, where what's good for you personally seems to be the exact opposite of what's good for the planet.
Yeah, we've all heard it. To do right by the Earth, you've got to put your own needs on the back burner. You know the deal. Take a shorter shower, pay extra for the eco-friendly option. It's always framed as a personal loss for a collective gain. But is that really the only way to look at it?
So we've got these two things that seem like polar opposites. On one side, there's altruism, doing something for the greater good, and on the other, plain old self-interest, basically asking, so what's in it for me? We tend to think you have to pick one, but the research we're diving into suggests the relationship is way more interesting than that.
So how do we actually bridge this gap? Well, the researchers came up with a totally different way of thinking about this. It's called the inclusion model, and it kind of turns the whole self-interest versus altruism debate on its head.
The big idea behind this inclusion model is that altruism and self-interest aren't two separate armies at war. Nope. It's better to think of them like nesting dolls, one inside the other.
So let's start with the smallest doll, the very center. That's our basic concern for ourselves, our health, our wallet, our own happiness. That's the starting point for everyone.
And this is the magic trick right here. See? Being altruistic doesn't mean you get rid of that first doll. It just means you put a bigger one around it. Your circle of what you care about gets bigger. It starts to include other people and nature and the planet in addition to yourself. You don't lose self-interest, you just build on it.
Just like the researchers say here, you can't really care about the whole planet if you don't, at some fundamental level, also care about your own well-being. So if that's true, how does that change how we try to get people to act?
A cool theory is one thing, but does it actually work in the real world? Well, the researchers didn't just stop at the idea. They ran 3 different experiments to see if this model holds water with actual people.
And the most telling experiment, the real nail-biter, involved a real-life situation. They asked a bunch of university students to sign up for an actual beach cleanup.
Okay, this is where it gets really clever. It was the same exact event, but they marketed it with 2 totally different brochures. The first one was the classic Do It for the Planet pitch, pictures of sad, harmed animals talking about our collective duty. The second one, purely what's in it for me. It screamed, get a $50 gift card, free lunch, and had photos of people smiling and having a good time.
And the results were, well, they were pretty wild. When the appeal was about the gift card and free food, the self-interested pitch, everybody signed up like crazy. It didn't matter what their personal values were. But when the pitch was only about helping nature, the participation from the more self-interested group just tanked. I mean, it fell off a cliff. What a difference. So this little experiment tells us something huge, and maybe a little uncomfortable, about what it actually takes to get a whole lot of people to take action for the environment.
So here's the bottom line. The people who are already super altruistic, they'll show up either way. They care about nature, but hey, they won't say no to a free lunch. But the people who are more self-focused, they are really only moved by the personal benefit. So, if you want to get everyone in the door, the what's in it for me message isn't the sellout strategy, it's actually the most inclusive strategy. It's the one that gets the biggest crowd.
Okay, so what on earth do we do with this information? What does it mean for anyone? A government, a company, or just you, trying to convince your friends to recycle? Now, this study is really clear about this. This is not a license to promote selfishness. Not at all. It's about being smart. It's about framing green actions in a way that highlights the personal upsides. You know, talk about how an electric car saves a ton of money on gas, or how eating less meat can be great for your health. Think of self-interest as the gateway drug to helping the planet. But, and this is a really big but, the researchers warn that if you rely only on money, you can actually kill someone's deeper personal motivation to help in the long run. So, you gotta be careful.
In the end, it really isn't an either-or fight. The big takeaway from the paper is that both of these motivations are real, they're powerful, and they can get people to do good things. The trick is knowing how to use both pathways to get the most people on board.
And that kind of leaves us with this final, fascinating question to chew on. Maybe the best way to get people to do good is to stop telling them it has to be a sacrifice. Maybe we can just redefine the whole thing and show people that more often than not, what's good for you personally can also be what's best for everyone.